for sharing his story, and congratulations to him for showing that it can be done. To every speaker that has been up here telling their stories, I want you all to know that our stories are our strength. And to my dear friend Jim Hightower, they just don't make them like that. Man, he is cold, you know? I wish I could be as witty, you know what I mean? Man, he is awesome. And you know, we finally call him Hightower on the Our Revolution National Board, but he is responsible for making sure that I got here, and I love him for that. He said that Texas is not red because it's so conservative, it's red because people don't get out to vote. And amen to that. We're gonna get folks out to vote. And I want to go on the record by letting them know that I'm coming back, and I want he and I to go into the rural areas together. We're gonna do the Hightower Turner Show. Shake it up all over the rural parts of Texas. Oh yeah. A sister and a brother. Doing the thing. So I love them so much. To the leaders of this Our Revolution Texas Golf, I just want to thank you for putting this together today, and all the issues that you've been talking about, from race, class, gender, the environment, all human rights issues when we boil it down. And we all come from all walks of life, all orientations, but the one thing that holds true, that we can only accomplish great things if we are willing to do it together. And when Hightower said that if we can get it loose, we can move it, we are shaking some things up. To my good doctor that got up there, Farouk, man, you know, he was quoting a sister. Usually I'm quoting somebody else. I said, Dad, did I say that? Thank you, Doc, for what you do. But thanks to all of you. You could have been anywhere today, but you are in this room, conscious-minded folks. See, this is not about, as Hightower said, it's not about whether you're Republican or Democrat. See, I'm about another kind of party. That's the party of the RT, and that's the right thing. That's the kind of party we need. But it is not about that shallow affiliation. And some elected officials, even those who we really like, got us caught up in fighting one another about who's a Democrat and who is a Republican. What I want to know, who's on the people's side, who's on the right side. That's all that matters. If we can get some of our sisters and brothers from the Republican side of the aisle to be on the right side, then we need to take that, like our two women senators that fought back along with, you know, Senator McCain, and didn't allow that last overthrow of the Affordable Care Act to happen. Right. Collins and Murkowski, thank you for that. Now, if we just want to talk about Republican and Democrat all the time, those two women did the right thing when it counted. So we got to stop being so caught up, because no party and no individual is above critique, baby. Nobody is above critique. We can critique to make it better. And that is what Our Revolution is about the grassroots and not the grass tops. It is about the people who make it happen. I got to give a shout out to the Democratic Socialists of America. In the house. So what to say? Because, you know, Hightower done pretty much said it all. Everybody done got up here. Y'all done did the daggone thing. I'm feeling, though, and I'm feeling Barbara Jordan, Congresswoman, right now. When I landed in Austin, and I said this last night, and I went to baggage claim, and the statue of Congresswoman Barbara Jordan greets you right there in baggage claim. And I was having a moment with her, and I know people were looking around saying, this sister's kind of crazy, because I was really having a show enough spiritual encounter with the Congresswoman, the image. And as my sister who stood up here and reminded us, absolutely that Fannie Lou Hamer would have been 100 years old had she lived, if she was shaking it up. I want you all to understand is that at the time that she was fighting, the Mississippi Democratic Freedom Party was a party of black and white folks, but they were determined to overthrow the establishment. Understand where we are right now in the 21st century, the same goal. Equality and justice for all. So let's not romanticize this thing. Fannie Lou Hamer absolutely is a shero in every stretch of the imagination, but she had the courage to stand up to the establishment of her day. And for us at Our Revolution, we standing up to the establishment of our day. And the only way that we can do that, though, is collectively. So I was feeling the Congresswoman. And one of my favorite quotes of hers, she said, what the people want is simple. They want an America as good as its promise. And that is what we're fighting for. An America as good as its promise. A Texas as good as its promise. An Ohio as good as its promise. Just fill in the state. That is what we are fighting for. And we can only do that together. So we can't allow ourselves to be seduced. Because we are fighting the establishment on both sides of the aisle. And there is no middle of the road way to be for the people. Either you are for the people or you are not. Either you're going to put something on the line or you are not. But if you are not, get the hell out of the way and let those of us who are willing to fight get this done. We're going to do this. And so that's why having people like Mike elected and John Courage elected, and those of you, the doc kind of stole my thunder because I've been talking about Mayor-elect Randall Woodfin everywhere that I go, because baby, we're going to shake it up in the South, all over the South. We coming. We're going to get our Southern sisters and brothers. So it always seems impossible until it is done. That is President Nelson Mandela. It always seems impossible until it is done. And we are doing it. And our revolution is born from a senator from Vermont who had the courage to step in the arena and challenge the establishment, challenge the system, win races all over this country, shake it up. And although he did not win that primary, baby, he has forever changed America. Yes, and that's what this is about. So he lit the fire, but it is our job to keep it burning. Can I get an amen? Amen. And that is what we plan to do. So as my colleague, my board member said about our revolution, now we come in here and we are having Church of the Populace. Hightowers Church of the Populace. No, the choir has to get together. The family has to get together. We got to remind ourselves. We got to get focused on the goal. But that is not the only reason why we are here. So I don't want anybody to leave out of here without signing up to be a member of our revolution. Chris has that is what I'm asking for before I leave here. And I'm only leaving here because we're on our way to San Antonio. We got 5 cities in 3 days. And we're working, sister. That's why I got to get back here. But that is the only reason why I won't be here with you till the end. So this is it. And I know people are discouraged about Mr. Trump being the president, but he is, for now. And no matter what happens, you know, we can't wait and wish and hope that the man get impeached. That may or may not happen. But what we do know with a certainty, with great assurance, is that 2020 is coming.
Yes, it is. Right.
And there is an African proverb that says that one must never build their shield on the battlefield. Well, sisters and brothers, it is shield building time. We're not waiting. We're doing it right now. So we're doing it from school boards and mayor's seats and council seats and state legislative seats, members of Congress, all the way up to the presidency. And we can't jump over 2017 to get to 2018. And we can't jump over 2019 to get to 2020. It's all building, 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 building. That is what we are doing. We are building a movement. And movements never end. Every generation has an assignment. And that assignment is to advance progress for the next generation. It is our assignment right now. And what will folks say about us when they are writing the story about how we stood up? And sisters and brothers, let me just say this to you. It's easy to stand up to Mr. Trump. He makes it so easy.
Yes, he does.
I'm going to tell you something. Those of you who got a little seasoning, y'all might remember Ashton Kutcher, who was still a young man. But he had a show called Punk'd, and I swear I'm just waiting on him to jump on out and say, we've been punked in the United States of America. I'm waiting on Ashton. Where are you, baby? Come on out. Or Rod Serling from Twilight Zone. Y'all know, even the young folks see the repeats of Twilight Zone. I just want them to say, and you've been in the Twilight Zone. But just in case that doesn't happen, we got work to do.
We got work to do.
So I want you to be aware, but I don't want you to be afraid. There's a difference between being aware and being afraid. And I don't believe that any man who walks the earth that we should be afraid of.
That's right.
Because the people have the power. Now it's all about how we're going to utilize that power and when will we utilize that power. And all of the bad things, the dirty, rotten things. I mean, just even yesterday, repealing a portion of the Affordable Care Act that allows women to have control over their own bodies. Let me just say this, we don't need permission slips, men.
Show no.
We can handle all this.
We can handle it.
We can handle it. And it just bothers me because when I served in the Ohio legislature, in the Senate, my Republican colleagues were obsessed with messing with a woman's body. You don't see that same pieces of legislation. You know, when I went to the Senate, I was over it for a minute, Hightower, so I introduced my own bill. It was called the Erectile Dysfunction Bill. Because I said, you know what, I wasn't elected to the Ohio Senate to work on education and helping small businesses and helping cities and communities. No, I was elected to regulate a man's reproductive health. That's what I was elected to do. Because it's just insane. Just think about that. And think about how many bills go through any legislature at any given time trying to regulate what a man got to do. Right. Very few. We're not going back. So, you know, I'm mad. And you know, as a black woman, sometimes that's dangerous. It's that they call the sisters angry black women. See, we're not allowed to get mad, but I want to go on the record right now. I am an angry ass black woman, and I'm taking applications. Anybody want to be one, you can join the club. Because if you're not mad about what's going on in this country, then something is wrong with you. So yeah, I'm mad. I'm mad that we got to beg people to do the right thing, and sometimes on both sides of the aisle. Medicare for All is an idea whose time has come. We've been working for this for a very long time. Get a clue. And this is not about a litmus test. This is a value proposition. Either you believe that in the wealthiest country on the face of the earth, that in the words of my grandmother, Lottie Dottie and everybody is entitled to health care, you do not. Either you believe what President FDR said in his Economic Bill of Rights in 1944. He said what the American people deserve, what the American people should expect. And in that list, he had health care, jobs, education, taking care of people who can't take care of themselves. He said that's what you should expect as an American. Whoa, baby, what the people want is simple. They want an America as good as its promise. There's no halfway of doing it. And I'm not saying everybody don't have to believe the same way. Now, quote me right. If there's some Democrats who don't believe that Medicare for All is an idea whose time has come, that's fine. But be willing to deal with the consequences. You ain't got to believe what I believe, but the people are coming. Now, what is the difference between Democrats and Republicans? Show me what the difference is. Don't just talk about it, be about it. And if you got the people's power, let's do something about it. Karen Weaver, the mayor of Flint, Michigan, even today, I talked to her about 2 days ago, still in that city, they don't have everything that they need so those residents can have clean water. That was almost 4 years ago. I give you that as an example because that was pre-Trump. So while we cleaning house, baby, let's clean it all the way. Gotta beg people to do the right thing. And you don't get me started on this president throwing paper towels out at folks, talking about our sisters and brothers in Puerto Rico. It's just, the man has proven himself thus far to be unfit for the office, and that is just it. But we cannot be afraid. So we got to stand up. Not just to people like him, but to politicians who only care about their next election and they don't care about the next generation. We are standing up. And what I don't want us to do is to get caught up on Mr. Trump while we forget the other stuff that is going on in this country.
Wow.
Systemic racism has been here for a long time. Bigotry and oppression has been here for a long time. And while we have to call it out directly when we see it, Charlottesville, Virginia, I'm not so much worried about the people who I know are neo-Nazis. I'm worried about the people who wear a blue suit over the white sheet. That's who I'm worried about. And to my non-black and Hispanic sisters and brothers, we are all in this together now. And when we fight bigotry, when we fight systemic racism, We need everybody fighting that fight, because this is not a black or brown problem, it is an American problem. And we gotta deal with this together. Together. I'm not just talking about those politicians, they wanna check off the list. This is real. But we gonna do it together. And I'm also not all caught up, I don't have a problem with the people who voted for Mr. Trump. I honestly don't. The last time I checked, this was the United States of America. The last time I checked, people have a right to vote for whoever they want. Now, I don't have to agree with them, but I don't have to tear them down as individuals just because I don't agree with them. And I'm gonna tell you something, on the left, folks can be nasty, vicious, and vile. It is not just people who are Republicans, it is not just people who voted for Mr. Trump. Some folks who call themselves doing the right thing can tear people down. Stephen Covey once said, "Seek first to understand and then to be understood." Many of those people voted for President Obama in 2008 and also in 2012. Now all of a sudden they all racist. I don't understand that. And can I share this personal story with you? I come from a mixed family. My brother is a conservative Republican. And I tell you that story because I talk to my brother every single day, 7:30 in the morning, trying to understand the mind of a conservative Republican. Every day. Without fail, Monday through Friday, because I need Saturday and Sunday to recover. But I tell you that because I love my brother. And I don't care what his political ideology is, he and I have love one for another. I've met many people all across this country where the household is divided ideologically. And then you got people in the political sphere that wants to separate folks forever based on who somebody voted for. The last time I checked, everything that we're fighting for is for everybody. It's not just whether you lean a certain way, we're fighting for humanity. And that means folks who voted for Mr. Trump too. So seek first to understand and then to be understood, or in the words of Dr. Martin Luther King, light or darkness can't drive out darkness, only light can. And hate can't drive out hate, only love can. We need to be soft on people and hard on the issues. I'm not saying when people are wrong, we're gonna fight for the issue. But we don't have to tear people down to do it. And that kind of discourse in this political environment is driving me absolutely mad. So I'm angry about a whole bunch of stuff. And people are manipulating this. Even some folks on the left side are manipulating this kind of anger and driving a wedge between us and our sisters and brothers who might not believe a certain way. It's okay. Now what we need to do, progressives, is we got to win some offices, and we have been doing that at our revolution, because baby, it's not enough to have the right ideas, we got to get the power, and that is what we are doing. And we are not leaving a state behind, we are not leaving a sister or brother behind. There is nowhere in the United States of America progressive cannot go and win. I firmly believe that. What do you stand for? What are you willing to fight for? It is not enough just to be against Mr. Trump and his administration, because they make it real easy. He shouldn't have never won in the first place, but that's another story for another day. I ain't even gonna go down that road. I'm gonna leave that right there. So, I'm about to wrap this thing up. So, Chris, you got the cards. Who is not, I ain't trying to put nobody on the spot, but I'm gonna put some folks on the spot as I close this thing up. We gotta have, how many people joined, Chris? How many people we got who joined?
Before...
Right now, like right now, today, this morning.
Today we have 285 that have joined on this tour before these events have even started.
Shut up. Okay, now I got to get to 300 some kind of way.
Yeah.
That's easy. Now y'all make a sister look good. Who has not filled out a card? We got a brother over here.
All right.
A sister right here, baby. This revolution we doing this. You don't have to give us a dime to become a member. We need you to become a member of our revolution. We need you, we need you, we need you, we need you. When Senator Sanders was running for office for president, all of you know that he said if millions of people get together, we can turn this thing around. We absolutely need you. We are not just saying that, we need you. We're gonna turn this thing around. So let me close out with this. What the people want is simple. They want an America as good as its promise. Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. President Nelson Mandela, it always seems impossible until it is done. I don't want you to lose your hope. Awareness, but not afraid. Awareness, we're gonna act, but we will not be afraid. So these three things. Well, I don't know, Tesla. Shoot, I'm feeling like, a preacher right now. I get 4 or 5 closings. Can I just back up? Yeah, especially in the black church. You know what I'm saying? If my folks, if you ain't never been to a black church, baby, come on. Come on. It's a part-time job, baby. There's nothing like it. So because I want you guys to know why I do this work and why I'm so honored to represent our revolution and what this means. It is about us. But I come to you as somebody who understands the struggle. I grew up in a working class family, a really poor family. My grandparents were middle class. I grew up poor. My parents got married very young and it just didn't work. My father is a good man, it didn't work. They were young, they got married as teenagers, it didn't work. I am the oldest of 7 children, because I want you to understand, a sister, it's not just a soundbite that you see on TV. I want you to know why I'm mad as hell and I'm embracing my anger.
All right.
And taking applications.
Yeah.
We need some more folks in the Angry Black Woman Club, that's it.
Amen.
But my parents got married young, they got divorced. I'm the oldest of 7 children. I'll never forget, I'm a first-generation college graduate. I was a sophomore at a community college, Cuyahoga Community College in Cleveland, Ohio. And in the dark ages, this is for the millennials, you couldn't text nobody, you just left a note on the refrigerator door.
That's right.
So it was a note on the refrigerator door instructing my husband and I to go to the hospital because my mother was there. And I didn't think anything of it, sisters and brothers, because my mother had a history of high blood pressure. I just thought it was one of those things. I didn't know it was going to be a defining moment in the lives of my family. My husband and I got there, the nurse leaped to her seat when we said who we were. She took us back to the bowels of the hospital, way back, way back. And when I opened the door, all of my other siblings, 6 of them, were already there, and they were all crying like babies. My brother is the second oldest. He is 6'5", and I've seen him cry since he was a little boy, and I know that everything was not right. The doctor came in the room. She said, "Family, I hate to inform you, but your mother is in a coma." And I asked the doctor, could I see the woman who nurtured 7 children, who did the very best that she could? She was not perfect, but she worked hard. When I got to the room and looked into my mother's face, her eyes were rolled to the back of her head and her tongue was hanging out of the left side of her mouth. I analyzed her clothing and I noticed that the paramedics had cut her clothing from her body. I could no longer contain myself and I started to cry like a baby and have flashbacks. Have you ever had moments in your life where you have flashbacks? How I got over, my soul looks back and wonders how I got over. My mother was an evangelist, so we went to church 8 days a week. I'm a faith woman, so I'm praying and I'm asking for miracles and all of this kind of stuff, and little did I know it was not meant to be. So the doctor said to me, as the oldest child, you got to make a decision about when to pull the plug on your mama. And oh, by the way, do you want to donate her organs? So Medicare for All is real for me. And to have somebody like Senator Bernie Sanders from Vermont stand up unapologetically and say that as Americans in this country, we deserve better, and that if every other industrialized nation on the earth has a healthcare system for all of their people, why can't we have the same thing? See, still waters run deep. This is personal for me. So my mother died at the young age of 42 years old. With her dreams deferred, Langston Hughes asked a very important question in his poem, "What happens to a dream deferred?" And I say to you that her dreams were deferred because she was not expecting to die. She died young. She died on the system of welfare. She didn't have a life insurance policy. She didn't have any money in the bank for 7 children. I am 22, the oldest of 7 children. My baby sister is 12 years old. I am married and I got a son, and I'm having a WTF moment. What are we going to do? We have no money. We have nothing. So it is by the grace of an almighty God and some good people who have consciousness that I am where I am today. And although my mother never lived to see her oldest daughter do some pretty incredible things, I know, I believe that she is in heaven saying, "You go, girl, you keep raising hell and fighting for the people." That is what I do. So yeah, I'm mad as hell. And there are other people in this country just like my mother, other families who are struggling and they work and they try and they just can't get it right, but they work and they try. It's called the working poor for a reason. And I don't want anybody else's dreams deferred, and that is why I fight. So yeah, I don't have time for mediocrity and people who trying to have a political calculation about what the polls say and what side they're going to be on. Either, baby, you're on the right side or you're not. What's the problem? And making sure that we take some of this burden of debt off of our folks who go to college. It is because I had the opportunity to get a higher education, that I was able to become a cycle breaker. Despite my humble beginnings, I got initials behind my name. College for all is important.
Yes.
We must level the playing field in this country. And poor people's children deserve to go to college too, baby. Everybody.
I need help.
We're not going to let folks separate us from our rural sisters and brothers. I know there's a debate going on that when you say working class, do you just mean the white working class? Do you mean the brown working? When we say working class, we mean black, brown, white, mixed, everybody in between, the rainbow mosaic of humanity. We're not going to let folks separate us. And that is what some people are trying to do, and it's not only the Republicans. So we have to commit ourselves. Progressives, when people hear that word, sometimes they only think white folks, but I'm looking in this room and I see the rainbow mosaic of humanity, baby. They need to get it right. We are all progressives in this room, and we come from all walks of life, and we are together. So yeah, I'm mad as hell. I want you to know that. Righteous indignation is a good thing. But we got to channel that energy and that anger into action. And we got to have some other Randall Wood fans all across this country. So I'm closing with grandma, as I always do. So my grandmother was born in the South. She was born in 1913. She couldn't read or write, but she could count her money. And sister, she kept her money in the Southern Ladies Banking Trust with a handkerchief. Miss Dent, you know it. Grandma had money on one side and a pistol on the other. That's just how she was. I remember one day I went to the grocery store and I think Grandma forgot which side she had the pistol and what side she had the money. And she pulled the pistol out first one day. And I know the clerk, because I was scared. I was like, Lord have mercy, my grandma. But she was one of the smartest women I've ever known. She had what we call in the African American community mother wit. When I asked my grandmother, what does it take to be successful in life? She said, my dear granddaughter, all you need are the three bones, the wishbone, the jawbone, and the backbone. She said the wishbone will keep you hoping and praying because hope is the motivator, but the dream is the driver. The reason why we are here today, the reason why we are working so hard, the reason why you all are willing to join this revolution is because you believe and you hope that tomorrow will be better than today, and it will be, because we're going to put some extra on our ordinary, and extraordinary things will happen. She said the jawbone will give you courage to speak truth, the power to lift your voice. You don't need a fancy title to lift your voice. Titles are good, but purpose is better. We need some more purpose-driven people from all walks of life doing the daggone thing. But the most important bone of them all, she said, the supercalifragilistic expialidocious bone, Katrina, is the backbone. Because the backbone will keep you standing through all of your trials and your tribulations. And in this life, we're going to go through some stuff. But we can't have a testimony without a test.
That's right.
And we are being tested about whether we have courage enough and conviction enough to do what we know is right, even if it causes us some inconvenience. The majority of the American people are on our side. They might not call it progressivism, but they right there. And all they need is you, and you, and you, and you to touch them. Not here, but right here. This is about humanity. This is not about the advancement of one party over the other. This is about humanity. And what are we going to do for humanity? Because our mission is so high, we can't get over it. And our mission is so low, and our mission is so wide, we can't get around it. This is about us. So revolutionaries, are you with me? I gotta bring my sister up here. I want everybody to show some love. Now, she didn't know I was gonna do this, but she came by me, certain people, a lot of people did, and she shared her story. So she worked as a child nutritionist, taking care of our baby's nutrition. The state cut some funding cuts happened. She has been unemployed for 3 months. Now I want y'all to give her a shout out of love, and if anybody is looking for somebody, if anybody got a lead, this young sister needs a job. Can the church of Populous say amen?
Amen.